Okay. Yeah. How does an agile coach learn to work at the executive level? It's a great question. If you've got an answer, let me know. I can only speak how I did it. Okay. As an agile coach, I started working with teams. It made sense. I came from a team. I was working as a Scrum Master, and then I was working with many teams. What was I called? They weren't doing Scrum. Some were, some weren't. Some were doing some weird stuff. Agile coach. So how did I go from there to the executive? Well, for me, I immediately took that step because I was working inside a small consultancy. My first role as an agile coach, I was working with the chief exec all the way down to the teams. And when I say all the way down, there was one layer between the chief exec and the teams. So it was really easy. That was a very informal organisation, really good, really strong agilists in there throughout. Brilliant consultancy to work with. But that's probably not what you're thinking. You're more thinking, how do I work with the executive in a bank? How do I get there? How do I work with them? And your route may differ to mine, but mine was very much taking that experience. And actually, I did a lot of work with teams from that point on. But it was with teams, and then as the teams grew into more teams, suddenly I was involved in programs. Portfolios of work, having discussions with very senior people in organisations, helping them understand how I would approach a problem that they traditionally worked a very different way. How we could harness the benefits of Agile in what is potentially a very traditional organisation. Some of the organisations are hundreds of years old that I've had the privilege of working with. And through that, you're suddenly talking to CTOs, CIOs, because they're involved in the Agile IT side of stuff very often. They're there to drive it forward. They want to bring it because what we do tends to be quite expensive in these organisations. So budgetary concerns, if nothing else, they start appearing. And you start talking to them. And I made what a lot of people told me was a mistake, because I assumed they were normal human beings. I didn't treat them any different. If a CTO turned up and wanted to talk about Agile, I talked about Agile with them. I didn't couch my terms. If they did something daft, I told them I thought it was daft. I could be respectful, believe it or not. I'm not always as blunt as some people think I am. But if it wasn't what I thought was a good idea, I let them know it. And I let them know why. Okay? And something really interesting happened. Number one, I discovered executives are normal people. They have the pros and cons, the loves, the likes, the dislikes of everybody else. But what they really did like was I was honest. I was always transparent. I was always forthright with them. If I didn't think it would work, I would explain why. I didn't push people. That's not my role. Never has been. I didn't have the authority or the experience to tell them how to do their job. But what I could do was offer my perspective, my advice, and let them do with it as they would. Okay? And every executive from the early days of moving into those levels to today, where I do work with some very, very senior execs around some of the biggest companies in the world, they like it. They don't get it enough. Actually, very often, the agile coach I've seen who is working with those senior people is potentially the only person who doesn't have skin in the game. They're the one who is looking at it from outside of the bubble saying, if you don't deliver it, that's on you. You need to make the right choice to deliver this thing. I'm just telling you what I can see. Do with it as you will. Okay? So they can act as a trusted advisor, as somebody who doesn't have skin in the game. They maintain their objectivity. And that means that you get relied on more. Okay? So if you want to work with the executive, remember, they're only people. They're stressed. Yes, they're probably important in your organisation. They might be difficult to get hold of. But when you do, talk to them. Talk to them as a normal human being. Be respectful, if for no other reason than they're a human being. Okay? They've got there not through luck. They've got to their positions because they're highly intelligent, highly experienced people. They know what they're doing. Your job is not to tell them they're wrong. Your role is to give them the benefits of your insights, of your perspective, and let them make choices. Let them make the decisions that they ultimately are paid to do. Okay? And this way, some of it will work, some of it won't, some of it they'll use, some of it they won't, some of it will be useful. They're going to recognise that. They're going to recognise that you're not forcing them into do anything, you're not playing an agenda. What you are there is openly and honestly trying to serve them and the organisation to be better. Okay? This has served me incredibly well. So over the years, what that has meant is execs have introduced me to other execs and then said, here's John, he's a bit blunt, but at least you'll know what he thinks, what he wants you to do. He will not make you do it. Okay? And once you start working with these people, your span of influence improves, increases immensely. Suddenly, you're operating across a whole organisation. You're not working with a team or 2 or 3 teams, but you have the potential to impact not even the portfolios, but all the portfolios, the portfolio of portfolios in these huge organisations. You have the ability to get involved in governance, in policy, in finance, in all of the key drivers to really make an organisation a successful transformation to a new 21st century entity. If you've got to this point in the video, I hope you've enjoyed it. If so, a like would be appreciated. If you want to hear more from me, more answers to questions that maybe you've got in the Agile world, please subscribe to the channel. And if you've got a question that you really want answered, drop it in the comments. I promise we'll get around to it. Thank you.